Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome to 2021. My god, that was a lot this past year. Fun fact, I was actually going to do this video a year ago, just talking about, how my life was at that point and the things I had to look forward to for 2020. I mean, first off, I got married in 2020, which was amazing. That was a great time. It couldn't have been done any better. One of the best moments of my life. And then there was the other great things I was going to talk about in 2020. How My Chemical Romance had been reformed and we're going to go see him in Melbourne at Download Festival. How Iron Maiden, the greatest band to ever exist, were doing another tour of Australia and they're playing in freaking Adelaide and we're going to go see them. And how with the way things were looking, I was going to be able to have time to finally go to a shitload of footy matches. And then, 2020 happened. Got married, so that was good. That still was able to go to plan. Fun fact, if we delayed everything by one more week, we probably wouldn't have been able to do any of the things we did. One of the places we went to on our honeymoon was Mount Barker, and literally the day after that, they confirmed that the case was there. The day after we were there. So that was fun. 2020, the year that was. So to start things off, the New Year's Eve itself was a night with a lot of promise. Started off pretty fun. Not going to go into too much detail, but let's just say, to be blunt, a New Year's where you go out for a big night is always going to let you down. That was how my 2020 started. Saw Affliction right after that. They were actually pretty good. It was pretty good. There was a bit of a few mishaps at the venue that was a bit of a down note, but the show itself was really, really good. Then it was all about going into the wedding prep. Me and the wife. That's right, the wife. That's always fun to say. Got pretty much had it exactly the way we wanted it, which was very, very low key and simple. And we had some of our closest friends that we were happy to have there. A couple other people. And it was a good night. Really, chicken? You're just going to be making little wheezing noises. Sorry. The cat Chicken is just making all sorts of noises, aren't you, Chicken? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking at? Sorry, I was going to reprime that to make sure it's in frame. Cool, good enough. So in short, coronavirus and pandemic pretty much torpedoed most of the things that I'd look forward to in 2020. Combine that with a few other just sad things that happened in 2020 with my life and family. Really, Chicken, you're just going to start attacking the camera. It was a year with a lot of promise, with a lot of dramas. Okay, now you're just playing with the tripod. Please don't. Okay, well, that scared the shit out of you. Chicken! Yes, one of the great things to come out of 2020 is we got a new cat. Her name was China, but we almost immediately dubbed her Chicken, and that name has stayed ever since. That's been fun. That was 2020. One of the other big things to talk about in 2020, the thing that really, the real driving point behind this video, I guess, is in the past couple of years in my videos, I've spoken pretty candidly about the dramas I've gone on in my life, the struggles, and how I've overcome it with the help of friends and family. Don't eat cactuses, Chicken. Some of the struggles I've had and how my friends and family have helped me overcome it. But the whole world sort of turning to absolute shit had a few other side effects that you wouldn't really expected. For one thing, I've worked in retail my entire life, computer retail specifically, where you do it for enough years, which I'm now in my 11th year at the same company, which I don't know if that's great news or depressing news. But one thing I've learned about it is you always, you notice the patterns, you know the cycles, you know the peaks and valleys. So there's always those few months where you have the downtime, where it's a bit more quiet. So in computer retail, it sort of begins in March through to April, then towards the end of May it starts picking up again. Then of course you've got your own financial year, the new financial year rush, and then September, October it sort of quiets down again. So what happened in 2020, of course, was March, end of Feb, beginning of March was when pandemic really exploded in Australia, which led to lockdowns beginning, which then had the work from home order. When you work in computer retail, people suddenly realize they all need to flock to your store at once because no one was prepared to work from home. What that meant was the quiet time where we sort of gather ourselves, we get our breath back from a busy Christmas leading into a hectic June is gone. It went from the quietest time of the year to one of the busiest months in record, and it then didn't let up. By the time everyone was able to comfortably work from home, it was suddenly time for end of financial year. And then it just didn't let up. Right when things were getting normal again and it looks like, hey, you know what? We're actually going to get ahead of it. The world is sort of returning to normal. The big clusterfuck that happened in Melbourne happened, which then, of course, down the line, SA had its second wave, which pretty much made sure the second quiet period of your October to November was equally fucked. So what this meant was there was never a slowdown for about a year straight. What I'm getting to this is, of course, work being non-stop busy, all hands on deck, doing what you need to do while the whole world is filled with fear, panic, doubt, and just uncertainty, led to a really severe burnout. And despite the fact that going into this stage, I was probably the strongest mentally I'd ever been, I suddenly started to crack, and I would have what you could consider a relapse of anxiety. Basically, it got to a stage where I was running around like crazy. My life at work was just never coming to an end, which then led to me just never making time for things I care about. Work was everything on my mind, and suddenly I was not getting enough sleep again. I was doing extra hours. When I was finally home to do things I wanted to do, I was too tired to do the things I wanted to do. I didn't get to spend time with my wife. Basically, never got to see friends anymore. I didn't have time for gaming, which I really, really want to get into streaming more and more, but I can barely commit a couple hours a week to it at the moment. And suddenly I realized I was in that same rut I was in a couple years ago. It felt bad. I felt like a failure because it sort of felt like I was undoing all of the good I had previously done in the years before. I learned all these methods. I learned how to manage myself, found out how to budget my time. I learned how to control my breathing and the things I was doing, and suddenly it was all gone again. Chicken's now standing right behind the camera, creating this little bit of an earthquake effect. Thank you, chicken. After all I'd known, after all the mental training I'd done, after all the techniques, I felt like a failure. I felt like I wasted all of this time and I was a fraud. I felt like I was once again just don't eat electrical things. You're the worst. You're the best, but you're the worst. Where was I? Oh, nice. I felt like all the work I'd done was undone and I was a failure. How could I be this guy that was spouting positivity and the things I learned, and how I was able to overcome that black cloud that was always on me, only to be right in the thick of it? And I felt awful. But I learned something in this time. I learned that you can't truly beat it, but it won't ever necessarily have to be the thing that beats you. You will always go through these problems again, and the most important thing to know is that you've been through this before, you got out of that hole before, you may be in this hole again, but you can get out of it again, you will beat it again. And I needed to know that because I probably had the longest run of just being completely burnt out with nothing left in the tank than I had ever had. After realizing I'd been dealing with anxiety and depression issues for most of my life, I'd never had a long onslaught of it like this before. And I truly felt like I was at my wit's end with nothing left, which is a very dramatic way to put it. And I'm sorry if it comes across that way, but what I'm trying to say is I felt like things couldn't get worse, but also were never going to get better. And when I realized that that's normal, I literally just listen to comedy podcasts when you hear some famous comedians and what they've gone through. I'm talking like big names like Conan O'Brien and how they battle with anxiety and mental health issues every day. And they talk about their ups and downs, their highs and lows. You realise that they are, in some regards, just like me, and I'm just like them. And those lows will come, but the thing that drives them, that keeps them going, is knowing that they've been it before and they'll beat it again. And once I realised that, I suddenly started to feel a lot better, and things started to get better. I started getting more on top of things again. And then the Christmas rush happened. And yeah, a big part of my life in my job is that I am considered a leader in the business. I am the guy that needs to tell everyone what to do, where to go, and how to manage it. And if they've got any dramas, it falls on me to be the guy that fixes it out, which I'm fine with. I've done the job for a long time. I'm very passionate about it. It's a job that I can do. But there are times when things got so rough and so hard that I had to ask myself, what is a leader and what is it like to lead? And it honestly got a little bit hard for me to truly understand. So I'm not getting my friends to be rude. So I had to ask myself, what is it to lead? What is the definition of lead? So I turned to a dictionary, and this is what it told me. Lead is a chemical element with the symbol Pb and atomic number 82. It is a heavy metal that is dense than most common materials. Lead is soft and malleable and also has a relatively low melting point. When freshly cut, lead is silvery with a hint of blue, tarnishes to a tile grey and colour when exposed to air. And then I realised I needed to be that way. I needed to be, I guess you could say, heavy metal in the sense of rough and firm, but soft and malleable in knowing what I need to do to be flexible. I then realised I looked up the wrong word. And then I looked up the actual word, lead. You know, the actual, not metal. Took me way too long to realise that. So, lead. Cause, person or animal, to go with one by holding them by the hand, halter or rope while moving forward. So I then realised I needed to help myself get through this so I could help others get through what they were going through. And that, combined with knowing that just because I'm feeling these issues again does not mean that I'm a failure or that I will never get out of it, helped me get through it. It let me really hold on to what I needed to see through the tough period. And I will be blunt, it led to me making some course decisions that might have been the most popular decisions I had to make at work, but I knew it was the right decision to make. The one that I needed to do to show that I was doing my job and that I was in control. And once I got that sense of control, even though my anxiety has always made it feel like that if I did something that pissed someone off or put them in a wrong position, I would feel immeasurably guilty and would haunt me, that feeling would subside because I knew I was doing the right thing. And that, combined with knowing that I will get through it, helped me basically see that period through. Now, with that said, I'm not a coarse heavy metal, I am just human. And unfortunately, that led to a physical fatigue that sort of became insurmountable. And suddenly, just due to how physically wrecked I was, those thoughts and fears started coming back. And I've sort of I recognized the patterns of what the year had been up until that point. And I then thought, hey, wait a minute, I know why I'm feeling this way. I know what I'm doing wrong. I know how to get out of it. I know how to beat this. And I did something that a couple of years ago I never would have dreamed of doing. I went up to my boss and told him I'm done. Not in a sense of wanting to quit, but I'm just wrecked. I need some time off. And to his credit, we had a longer chat than that. I had a long talk about what I've been going through and how I was feeling, and how, even though I feel like I was on top of things and able to do the right thing by myself in the job, the physical restriction and limitations of how much work I was actually doing started to catch up. And he understood. It was great. I'm so glad I spoke to him about it, because right after that, he moved some things around. And even before I was able to get those breaks and times off, I felt instantly better. I then had just a single day off that was against the normal plan. And that one day, I felt so much better when I returned to work after that. I just felt like a huge weight was lifted, and I'm back. Like, I started 2020 the strongest I'd ever been physically and mentally, and I battled 2020 feeling probably the weakest I'd felt in a long time. And I say I felt the weakest because I knew I wasn't, and sure enough, I saw it through. I did what I needed to do, and I'm leaving 2020 stronger than ever before. I'm now going into 2021, which is a year of excitement, and finally I hope I can get a grasp of things. And hell, I've been through hell and back, and now it's time to fire back. Little kid ink there for you. Yeah, I hate myself for saying it too, don't worry.